Hi guys, it is Aoife from Fred Weasley Died Laughing, and I am here to do the Bookternet All-Stars Charity Challenge. This is a challenge that was created by Rachel Marie, and it is to raise some money to go towards a COVID-19 related charity. I don't think the charity has been decided yet, but the charity page and all this information I will leave linked down below for anyone who's interested. So I was tagged to do this challenge by Jessikah over at Read by Jess, who is a brilliant booktuber, and I would definitely recommend you all go and check her out. I will leave her link down below. We'll just get on straight into this. So I have a page here with a bunch of different authors and books that I have to say whether I have read or not, and to be honest, I have actually read quite a few of these, and one of the things was that I had to try and find where all the books were that I owned on my bookshelves, and because, as I said the other day, I've rearranged my bookshelves and I moved them and everything is in a different place. There were some that I couldn't find and I just don't know where I've put them, but they're here somewhere, I just don't know where, which is one of the problems about when you do rearrange your bookshelves. You just can't remember exactly where you've put all the books. It takes a while. So the first author here is Angie Thomas, who wrote The Hate You Give and as well as On the Come Up, and I actually own both of these books and I've read both of these books, and I have On the Come Up here. I don't have The Hate You Give with me at the moment because I lent it to a friend ages ago, and I'm not sure even if she has read it yet, but I'm definitely going to try and get her to read it soon because I know that she will love it. But yeah, I've read and enjoyed both of Angie Thomas's books. I think I probably prefer The Hate You Give a little bit more than On the Come Up, as I just felt like Star, I think I related more to Star in The Hate You Give than in Bree. Is it Bree? Yeah, Bree in On the Come Up. But both books are really good. I will continue to support Angie Thomas and probably buy more of her books because I just do think that she writes a different type of teenager than you kind of see a lot in other contemporary books, and yeah, I just really like the fresh perspective she gives, kind of like more like on the streets, the kind of what life is really like for black teenagers growing up in America at the moment. And yeah, it's just a real eye-opener every time I read one of her books, and I just feel like I'm learning something new all the time, and I'm just, yeah, my eyes are just being opened a little bit more, which I think is really important. The next book on this list is Shatter Me by Tara Maffey, and this is one I actually haven't read. I think I do own it on my Kindle, but it's just one that, like, it's kind of, I feel like it's come back in the last 2 years because the spin-off trilogy was written. When I first joined BookTube, which was 5 years ago this weekend, I heard so much about this trilogy, and it just was one that I never got to, and I think if I'd read it a good few years ago, I probably would have really enjoyed it. I'm not sure now if I would enjoy it as much as I would have, which is why I think I haven't picked it up yet, even though I do know it's on my Kindle. I do really, really love the covers of this series though. I think they're just so beautiful, and to be honest, I kind of know a lot about the series in general just from how people have talked and in the past, and obviously I am a big fan of novels, and she loves this series, so she kind of chats about it quite a bit, and I've never minded kind of just hearing her thoughts about it. Even though I haven't actually read the series, I still enjoy listening to what she thinks about it, and the new books. So yeah. Next author is Leigh Bardugo, and I have read I think almost all of Leigh Bardugo's books except her two latest ones, which were Ninth House and King of Scars, and I do own King of Scars. It's actually the only one I own. I do want to get my own copies of the Six of Crows duology and the Grisha trilogy, because I just love Leigh Bardugo's writing. I just love the way she writes magic. I love the way she writes her young characters. They're just so gritty and so full of like twists and turns inside of them, and yeah, I just love following the stories that she writes because they're just so amazing, and I just love the magic system, and I love the fact that she built a world in the Grisha series, and she's slowly kind of been building out upon it, and I just think that's such a really great thing that an author can do, that she obviously enjoys the world that she created so much that she wants to write more and more inside of the world, and it's like an ever expanding world. There are so many different types of people and cultures and cities and towns inside of it, which is why we were able to get something like Six of Crows within the Grishaverse. So I'm very excited to read more of her work. I just really need to get to this one because this is about Nikolai, who was one of my favourite characters, and I just haven't got to it yet. I really need to. The next book is The Cruel Prince, and I have the whole trilogy here with me. As you can see, you guys know that I love the Cruel Prince series. I love anything to do with like dark, twisty fae, fae that like will trick you into staying with them and that will like use and abuse humans. I just think it's such a fun world to explore, and I think Holly Black does it really, really well, particularly in this series. I wasn't a completely big fan of her original trilogy, The Modern Fairy Tales, which I did read this year, and I said it was just really outdated and I just didn't really enjoy that at all, but I do really enjoy the world that she has in this. I've also read The Coldest Girl in Coldtown, which is like a vampire novel that she wrote, and that one was really interesting. I didn't love it as much as I love her fairy books, but I still really love The Cruel Prince. I am just card and trash and I don't care who knows it. I love it. The next book on the list is The Bone Witch by Jessikah, and this was actually one that I was really surprised to see on this list because I actually don't see that many people talking about it, so I was interested to see like that it was on the list, because this is one I read a few years ago and I really enjoyed it, and I just haven't gotten around to reading the other two books in the trilogy. I originally got it off NetGalley, and I remember at the time I was reading it and I just really enjoyed it, and I raved about it, and I've kind of seen people pick it up in drips and drabs since then, and I've seen it a little bit more recently. I'm not sure why, but I've seen it definitely more in the last like few months on BookTube rather than the last few years since it's been out. But I definitely haven't seen it enough that I would actually think it's a BookTube fave, but it's actually probably one of those things where like there's a whole circle of people that I just don't follow yet on BookTube that are talking about it that I don't know yet. But a lot of people, like the people I follow, not that many people are talking about it. So yeah, it's really interesting to see it on this list, and I'm glad to see it on the list because it's a really interesting, really great book about a fantastical world that's just so interesting. It has a lot of Asian culture mixed into it, and a really interesting magic system as well, which, and like a type of like necromancy in it that's just really interesting to follow. So yeah, I would definitely, if you haven't read it, I would definitely recommend it, and it's just a really good reminder for me to read the next two in the trilogy because I really have to do that. Next author on the list is V.E. Schwab, and I have read 3 of V.E. Schwab's books. So I've literally only read The Vicious Duology, which is Vicious, as you can see, and Vengeful, and then I also read The Near Witch, which I got from my library at the time, which is like her first book, which was republished recently. It kind of, I don't know whether it was never published or went out of print or something, and then they brought it back recently, so I read that. And I have not read kind of the ones that she's kind of more known for, which is the Darker Shades trilogy. I haven't gotten around to those yet. They just are ones that like I'm kind of are like on my permanent TBR of like, oh, I must read those, people love them, I must read them, and I just have not got around to them. But I did enjoy Vicious and Vengeful. They weren't like my favourite books ever, but I did enjoy the kind of the world, and the characters were very kind of like, they're very grey, morally grey characters. They were very interesting to follow. So I do enjoy her writing, but I don't love her writing, and I haven't had this massive push to read the other books. But I probably will at some point in the future. I just don't know when. Cinder by Marissa Meyer is definitely one that was a big BookTube like fave when I first started BookTube. I did eventually read, and I really enjoyed it, and I love the kind of like the different take. I love when people do kind of real fresh takes on fairy tales, and I just think this one being set in kind of like a slightly dystopian sci-fi-esque world, it's just really interesting, and I just really enjoyed the fun that Marissa Meyer definitely had in Cinder. I have read Scarlet, which I do have, and then I have Cress, but I actually have not read Cress yet. So this is the next book that I have to read in the series. Again, this is just one of those ones that I just never finished, which is so annoying. I really need to do that. But I do have them, I do enjoy them, I do intend to finish the series at some point in the future. I just don't know when. I have also read Renegades by Marissa Meyer, and I really enjoyed that one too. That was really interesting. So that's, again, it's one I need to finish too. I have Arch Enemies on my Kindle and I haven't read it yet, so yeah, another unfinished series from me. The next author is Adam Silvera, and I have read 2 of Adam Silvera's books. I've read They Both Die at the End, which I thought was really interesting. I really enjoyed it. Yeah, it was just fun. Wasn't like brilliant, but I really enjoyed it. And the other book I read was the one that he co-wrote with Becky Abertali, which is What If It's Us, which I really enjoyed. I really enjoyed Becky Abertali's writing in general, and to be honest, I picked this one up because it was a Becky Abertali book more so than because it was an Adam Silvera book. I think looking back now at What If It's Us, if I reread that, I would probably drop my rating down to maybe like a 3.5 star, because I think at the time I read it, I was probably kind of in the hype of it. I read it really quickly, I really enjoyed it, but I was definitely like in the hype of the book and I was just excited to be reading it, where some of the stuff that's actually in it that I remember that I didn't mind at the time that I actually would normally have an issue with in books, such as like the amount of pop culture references and stuff in it that would normally annoy me in a book, and for some reason in What If It's Us, that didn't annoy me, but it would usually annoy me. So I think if I reread it, I'd actually drop my star rating down a little bit, but I still really enjoyed the book. I do enjoy, from what I've read so far, I do enjoy Adam Silvera's writing, so yeah, I definitely need to check out more of his writing. I do want to check out his fantasy book that's come out recently, which is I think Infinity Sun, so I want to check that out too. The next author is Cassandra Clare, and to be honest, I have not dragged down my Cassandra Clare books. They're just a little bit up there. They're on top of my Harry Potter shelf here. I have a Shadowhunter shelf just up a little bit, and yeah, I didn't want to drag them all down. But yeah, I've read pretty much all of Cassandra Clare's books except The Red Scrolls of Magic, Chain of Gold, and Tales from the Shadowhunter Market. I think I've read pretty much everything else. I think there's a few Magnus Bane Chronicle books that I haven't read, but I've read kind of her main body of work mostly, except Red Scrolls of Magic and Chain of Gold. I just really enjoy her world. As I said, I read Queen of Air and Darkness just a few weeks ago, and it was just really helpful for me at this moment in time where things are just a little bit crap outside, and it was just a perfect escape, and I absolutely loved it. I love her writing. I think it's amazing that we can see how much her writing has improved over the years, because if you do go back to the first book, what is it called, to City of Bones, like her writing is fine, but it's nothing spectacular. It was more just the type of magic and the different like beings that she had in her world that was exciting, and the romance as well, and the writing itself wasn't anything to like write home about, but I think her writing has improved so much. I just feel so proud of her every time I read one of her new books, that the writing has just gotten so much better, and I just feel like I have been with her on her journey through the last few years. I do really want to reread the series, because it's been such a long time since I read the earlier Mortal Instruments books and the Infernal Devices. They're all stuff I want to reread, and I do think I want to read a bunch before I actually read the Chain of Gold trilogy. And yeah, that's going to have to be a project that I set myself at some point, because I'm going to need to like write it down to make myself do it, but that's definitely something I want to do. The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo is a book that I have read and I have loved, and it's one that I do have somewhere on these shelves. I just don't know where it is. I've also read Daisy Jones and the Six, really enjoyed that one. I do want to reread that on audiobook because I've heard the audiobook is amazing. And I have also read, I think it's Maybe in Another Life by Taylor Jenkins Reid, and that one was really good too. I really enjoyed that. I just think she writes really like addictive, she writes just really addictive stories with characters you can just like really follow. And I think the last two books, which is like obviously Evelyn Hugo and Daisy Jones, I think she's really found her niche in a particular type of female character, and I think hopefully we will continue to see that in her future books, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what type of character she comes out with next, because yeah, she's really good at just building these unapologetic women characters, and I love it. Laini Taylor is the next author, and I have read the Daughter of Smoke and Bone trilogy, which I absolutely love. I own the first book, Daughter of Smoke and Bone. I have to get the others on my shelf because this is actually one of my favourite trilogies. I love Laini Taylor's writing. She has such a flowery way of writing, and it's just so beautiful. And for me, flowery writing is very hit and miss. Some I love, some I don't. Laini Taylor's writing just hits the spot for me every time. Absolutely adore it. I do own Strange the Dreamer, which is the first book in her other trilogy, but I actually have not read this yet. This is one that I still need to read. And yeah, I think I'm kind of a little bit afraid to read this one because I love Daughter of Smoke and Bone so much. But yeah, it's one I need to get to. But I love Laini Taylor's writing. Like, I think I would just read anything Laini Taylor writes because she's just such a beautiful writer. The next book is Illuminae, which is one that I have read. Again, I've only read the first book in this trilogy, not the other two, but I've read Illuminae. I really enjoyed it. I just thought it was a really interesting format of a book, and yeah, it was just fun to read. I don't actually have it on my shelves at the moment because I have given it to my boyfriend to read, which he's had for ages and he still hasn't read it, but yeah. Scythe by Neil Shusterman is a book I've heard so much about, but it's actually one I haven't read. I do think I would really enjoy it if I do pick it up. I just haven't got around to it yet. The next author is Sarah J Maas, and I have a real love-hate relationship with Sarah J Maas, and I could actually go on forever. I read Throne of Glass and I read Crown of Midnight. They were fine. It's just with the way Sarah J Maas would describe her characters as, but then she wouldn't actually make her characters do the things that they should be doing to be the characters that we were being told they were, if you get what I mean. Like, in terms of Selena Sardathian, or whatever her name is, we are told that she's like this badass assassin and she is so cool and she is no, like, you know, she goes off and kills people, whatever, and then we just see her have all these like moral dilemmas, and I'm like, if I want an assassin girl, I want an assassin girl. I don't want an assassin girl who was like crying at night over the blood she spilled, you know what I mean? Like, give me someone with like no mercy. I want someone ruthless. If you're giving me an assassin, give me a ruthless one. So yeah, that just kind of annoyed me a little bit. But then I read A Court of Thorns and Roses and I loved it. So, and I read A Court of Mist and Fury, and I've done a whole video review of A Court of Mist and Fury because I loved that one so much. So yeah, I have a real love-hate relationship with her. It's just really weird, and I don't know whether I want to pick up Crescent City. I probably will at some point, but I just don't know when. Which yeah, it's weird. I don't know how to explain it. In the Ashes, one I haven't read, one I've heard a lot about. just haven't gone around to it. Do think I will enjoy it if I read it. Shannon Maguire, I have read the first Every Heart a Doorway. I have read, really enjoyed it. Haven't gotten on with the rest of the series, even though I really enjoyed it, which just seems to be a theme in this video. Poppy War is one I think I will love, and I do have it on my Kindle, just haven't got around to it yet. I think I got on Kindle deals a while ago, but yeah, it's one on my Kindle, one that I do really want to get around to, just one I haven't. And then the next book is To All the Boys I've Loved Before, which, as you can see, I do own them. I actually haven't read these copies yet because I've originally read it on my Kindle, and yeah, I bought these copies then because I really love this trilogy. I just think it's so adorable and so cute, and Peter Kay is my #1 contemporary book boyfriend. I love him with all my heart. I wish he was real so I could marry him. Yeah, love him. Love this trilogy, so yeah. And that is it for my Bookternet charity challenge. This video is so long. I'm so sorry if you've gotten here, if you stayed till the end. So I think I should probably tag a few people to do this. Obviously people aren't obliged to do it if they don't want to. Everyone is up to themselves. But I think I will tag some of my BookTube besties probably, which would be Kirsty over at Kirsty's Reviews and Kerryn over at Rather Be Reading. And yeah, I will tag those two to do that if they haven't been tagged already. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please let me know which ones you've read, which ones you've loved, which ones you've hated from this list. I would love to know. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys again next time. Bye!